consideration of resolutions of principle. And two pieces to that puzzle. In general, should resolutions of principle be permitted at all? So question number one. And you all on the subcommittee did not come up with a recommendation there?
No, and so I'm personally, unless it's a nationally recognized issue, then, you know, that's a discussion for that. But I don't necessarily want to get into the business of proclamations of principle. You know, it's like, that's like a can of worms that I don't think we as a city council should be involved in. And so, so I personally think no, and, okay. But I was gonna go into methodology, but let's just hear that.
Start there. All right. Any other thoughts from the rest of the subcommittee?
All right, so just to make sure I'm understanding what we're going over, we're talking about the proclamations and allowing them to be, or resolutions of principle, as I
Yes.
was. So resolutions of principle.
New
Can you-
ones.
Can you do me a favor? Can you please put up the definition of the resolutions of principle, please?
I believe
You
that
didn't hear
is
me back there?
slide number,
thank you.
Jonathan, you'll need to,
Thanks, Jonathan.
slide number 18. Slide number 18, that's the first slide, which was the definition.
Okay.
And then the second slide
We're good
was
right
the
there.
examples.
No, that's good. That's perfect. Thank you. So on the dais, we just, right now, the four of you just put in that you're okay with the four or the five different proclamations to be presented here.
That's not what was voted on.
Well, that the national,
The vote was simply, we did not take a position on, that's not what was voted on.
okay,
To
go
be
ahead.
clear,
Go ahead and put it out.
so what we voted on was a policy for bringing forward next year those proclamations. We have not voted on whether those are proclamations that the city will issue. That is for the January meeting.
But to
for the
keep those.
council.
So we're still saying
We're
that
not
those.
saying to keep those either. All we're saying is, if you read the proclamation, it was,
No, go ahead.
the instructions are simply what the policy is that we are creating. Are we having inclusionary proclamations? Yes.
Okay, so that's the word I'm looking for. So you are talking about the inclusionary proclamations, which within those inclusionary proclamations still is personal beliefs and values. So we're okay to possibly push forward in the proclamations, personal beliefs and values, but in the resolutions, we're okay to remove them possibly depending upon what the dais, the five of us think. So it's kind of like, I see it as we're okay with this, but we're not okay with this. And here, I look as a resolution as the ability to be able to, again, have our First Amendment right to bring issues up. And as Stu and I discussed, I think you brought it up as a great idea, that we have somebody second the motion at the dais. But if we're going to have it one way, we have to be able to allow it the other way. Because again, we're not worried about what people think. So I believe that we should be, or feel, not think. We should worry about people feel. So in my opinion, personal beliefs and values in a resolution is just as important as the other proclamations that we said could pass on to the next year. They're equal. If you're gonna have one and we wanna have equity, we gotta have the other.
I'm struggling to understand how
Okay.
personal beliefs and values.
So personal beliefs, I'm gonna
Hang on,
explain.
let me finish my
Go ahead.
statement. Struggling to understand how personal beliefs and values are associated with African American History Month, Women's History Month.
You know what I'm talking,
Asian
it's the
Pacific-
LGBTQ. We're just gonna call it out.
No. Let me finish, please.
Go ahead.
Asian Pacific Heritage. These are not beliefs or values.
Well,
So-
it's very interesting because if you do talk to some people, I'm just going to be real, I believe that they should be put in there. I'm going to be real, but there will be some people who are against them. I'm talking specifically about the LGBTQ. There was controversy this last year about abortion being brought up, and that needs to be put in the corner and put under a basket, but we're okay with some personal beliefs as far as LGBTQ. It's not fair to not be able to have both. You can't do that. You have to be able to allow the ability to have the conversation in a resolution to come forward. If it gets canceled, if Stu or 4 people don't want it, it gets squashed. But the ability to have that First Amendment right as a city council member should be able to be pushed forward.
I do have a thought on that, because I was thinking about that, and I thought, okay, say you put something up and you don't get a second, and now you've been squashed. Every city council meeting, we have council comments. You can say whatever you want. So if you have something that you really want to put out there, you have every constitutional right opportunity at that moment to say whatever you want. And so, and that's what I mean. You're not being squashed at that point. You may not have communicated, properly, and maybe at your council comment you can. And so I don't see that that's going to be an issue as far as, and the whole idea behind getting the second was to kind of force one of us to talk to another one of us about something before it goes on to the dais, before you make the
Right.
recommendation. So that to me has a lot of value, and I think you even thought so too.
I agree, yes.
Because it puts you one step. You're literally only one vote away from getting your resolution or whatever you want to push with, the city council. So anyways, the methodology, I think we all like the idea of having a second, do we not? Yeah, so I think that's good. So what's the problem with the first?
Well, because we're talking about values. So
Yeah.
can you put that back up one more time? Short-term memory loss. One more.
Oh,
Nope, go back one.
There you go.
Okay, so again, we're talking about specifically, do we want to allow a resolution of principle to be allowed to be brought up to the dais? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that being said, in the definition, it says a statement in which an individual describes their personal beliefs, values, and intentions towards a particular topic. But can we not sit here and say every single person has different personal beliefs and values?
Absolutely.
So for me, I think I gave an example, what about human trafficking
Right.
in slavery?
Yeah,
I'm totally against it.
right.
Somebody else could be like, I'm for it. It's okay, and it's quite disgusting, but that's their beliefs and values.
Right.
But people can argue that.
Yeah.
And there's going to be other things. But again, if we're holding up one thing and saying we're going to have equality in one thing and we're going to bring one thing to the dais, you can't just trample on other people who have an important part in the community as well. Because I think Mayor Matt Ron, you brought it up. You said, well, we don't want to trample on the individuals because they participate in the community. But there are other people who participate in the community, have just as much value when they come to the up here, or if we're giving a resolution. And we need to be able to respect that as well. So if we're going to respect one group, we need to respect both groups. And that's where where we're at. So that's my thing, bringing it forward, resolution. Can a council member bring it forward? I believe so. And if there's a second motion, great. If there's not, then it dies.
Right.
Simple. It's very simple. It's not that big of a deal. It gets squashed at the first meeting. So I'm just saying, if we want to have equality and equity, push it forward.
I just don't want to get in the weeds.
I know,
That's
but
my
it won't,
thing.
remember, it's not going to get in the weeds.
Right.
Because, again, it'll get squished.
Right.
Ms. Edwards?
I don't know, maybe, I could be wrong about this, but when I joined the city council, so many years ago, it wasn't a matter of what I think. We are here to represent the public. And I feel strongly about my personal beliefs. And I'm certainly not going to take something that I feel strongly about unless it's something that is of interest to the whole. And in that case, I think it would be that would be more of an organizational belief. But anything that I would believe that is going to isolate one segment of the population is wrong. It's just wrong, because we are here to be fair to everyone, to represent everyone, whether we agree with them or their lifestyle, or the color of their hair, or what kind of car they drive. We're here to represent everyone. And I always say, you know, we got this $600 a month job to make the hard decisions.
Right.
Not to take the easy road. And when things are controversial, by eliminating those proclamations, we're not going to change people's minds. The people who disagree with, you know, the lifestyle, the color of hair, the kind of car, we're not going to make any difference. But what we are going to do is to alienate those people because of the color of their hair, the kind of car they drive, or their lifestyle. So I'm not here to judge. And if you listen to what Randy said about the verbiage of the proclamation, it didn't say anything about supporting any type of lifestyle, hair color, or car. It said, you're here, you live here, you work here, you contribute to the community, you volunteer, you're part of us. And regardless of your lifestyle, we want to make sure that you realize that we appreciate you and that you are appreciated. We can't control those people who don't respect or don't appreciate. But to me, everything is an organizational decision here. And anything that deals personally with my concerns, my religion, my, oath to the Girl Scouts, or whatever I've done, is irrelevant. We have to function as a government agency. We cannot run this city based on our own personal feelings and ideologies. We have to do it based on residents, their desires, what's legal, and what's best for the city. So, I think we have to consider this from an organizational standpoint.
What's been accomplished in the last couple of years with all that?
Conversation has been brought up.
Yeah, but, you say you don't want to exclude anybody from the community, but that's exactly what some of those proclamations did. Some of those resolutions that were brought forward said, this is how the city of Temecula believes on this particular issue. It is not how the city of Temecula believes on the particular issue. It is how you, others in the community, believe on a particular issue.
Can you take that and put
So-
LGBTQ in there?
I'm
It's
not
the
talking
same,
about
but it's
that.
the same.
I am not talking
but
about
that's what
that.
I'm explaining.
That is-
if you take what you did with the other proclamations and stick in just different wording, it's the same principle. You can't exclude
And
a
this is
group.
going to be the fundamental disconnect in your viewpoint of what the city is here for. I remember the day when the city used to be here for public safety, roads and infrastructure, basic quality of life of what this city is and is supposed to be. But having a conversation to the exclusion or inclusion of other folks in this community so that folks feel like, hey, look, if we have something with API month, is that excluding anybody? Does it intentionally exclude all non-Asian Pacific Islanders in that resolution? No, it doesn't exclude them. It just says, hey, you are a part of our community. We recognize the value that you bring to the community, and we recognize the state and national proclamations that month encompasses. That is very different than a resolution of principle that says we have an opinion about the hair color, and I would like to designate the national or the hair color for the city of Temecula to be brown. And therefore, that is the city of Temecula's hair color from here on. That is my opinion. That is my belief. We can have those conversations all day long if we want to, but I keep going back to, what the hell is the city here to do? It's not to make those kind of judgment calls. And frankly, I think it's high time where if you want to bring forward items that are controversial, you are more than happy to. Get a person to agree with you on the council, bring it forward, stop wasting our time with this kind of stuff on the city council.
And
But that's what we're
Enough is
talking about.
enough. Enough
But
is enough.
hold on.
In
But-
general, and I'm going to call for the question, should resolutions of principle be permitted at all? Yes or no? That's the first question the city council has to agree to.
No.
Can we do a vote on that, Ms. Joel?
You're going to need a motion.
You're going to need a motion and a second from somebody, please.
I'll make a motion that we do not include inclusionary recommendations or requests.
Actually, I'm sorry, Councilmember Edwards, we're on resolutions of principle.
I'm sorry, resolutions of principle, yes.
So the motion in regards to resolutions of principle is that resolutions of principle not be permitted. And I have a first by Councilmember Edwards.
I'll second.
All right, please cast your votes.
Oops. Did I get it, Randy?
Actually, I'm sorry, we'll just do a voice vote.
Okay.
So Councilmember Edwards,
Aye.
Councilmember Stewart,
Aye.
Councilmember Ron,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwank,
Aye.
Councilmember Alexander.
Nay.
Okay, so we're going to dispose with that item because there's no reason to bring up the second point now.